Hey guys, welcome back to Shoney Small Engines. This Toro was brought to me with a non-start issue. Actually, the guy said it was running and mid-cut just shut off and wouldn't restart. Um, I did the quick throw some fuel into the intake, see if it has spark and compression. It did not have any spark or compression. Well, it didn't start, so it tells me that it's not one or the other. So I took out my spark tester. I checked for spark. It does have spark. Uh, so I know it has spark, but then I took out my compression tester, and I'll show you real quick how that's done, and to show you that there is no compression on it. So I'm going to tear into this, see if it's something simple, that something's that it's not getting compression, or if the motor's shot. So let me show you real quick compression test, and then we'll dig in. Pull that spark plug off. Get the compression tester. You can buy one of these, on Amazon. Doesn't have to be real fancy. These engines should have, I think, with the compression release, should have around 60 to 75 compression. Some of the older ones don't have a compression release. You should be up in the 100 to 125 range. So let me go quick pull this over and see if we get any compression. Yeah, I'm getting absolutely zero. So I can even feel it when I'm pulling the pour cord. It pulls really, really easy. So we know there's no compression. I said we already checked for spark. So I'm going to go pull this cover off. I'm going to get down to the take the head off and do a quick inspection of the cylinder, what I can see of the rings, and then also the valves. So to get this cover off, we have two Phillips head screws on top. We'll just rest that out of the way. And then we got to take this fuel tank cover off. There's three 5/16 bolts on top. And that'll slide out of the way. One more right here for the oil filler. And that'll pop up and out of the way. Now we have two 3/8 bolts in front we got to pull out. And then two more back here. Then this will lift up out of the way, and I'm just going to rest this off to the side. Now, coming in from the front, there's 8 1/2-inch bolts. We'll pull these off. Also got to remove this one little 5/16 bolt too, to get the exhaust out of the way. All right, cylinder does not look bad at all. It's pretty good. So what I'm looking for are the valves closing and clearing. I want to see how much. All right, so I know that the piston's making good compression, which means I'm probably not getting a good seal here on the valves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the exhaust off. I'm going to pull the valves out, and I'm going to check the valve clearance from the side. And then if the clearance isn't bad, I might have to shave the valve down and maybe do a lapping on the valve. It's surprising to me that I only got zero compression when, this is actually in decent shape. So let me go ahead and pull the exhaust off, and we'll check it in from the side. Okay, remove this bolt. We have to get this little bracket out of the way of these 7/16 bolts. We'll take those out. All right, keep this all together. This is your auto choke when the engine's warm. Now we got two more 3/8 bolts for a valve cover. All right, now we'll probably pry that up. Okay, we'll get that out of the way. All right, we're going to set this engine to top dead center. So we'll watch the piston here. The exhaust is opening. Now the intake is pulling in air. That's your compression stroke right there is our top dead center. Okay. Now we're going to check the valve clearance with our feeler gauge. So this is the exhaust, which has plenty. Here's our intake, which is extremely tight. Can't even get the 4/1000ths in there. I usually try to aim for around 4/1000ths. There's a spec for these that I mean, generally speaking, if you're between 4 and 8, you're probably going to be fine. 4 and 8 thousandths. Let's try 2 thousandths. All right, that one does fit. So we know the valves aren't too tight, although that's slightly tight. It could be a little bit better, but definitely not where it should be. This exhaust valve is very, very loose. I'm wondering if the exhaust valve isn't sitting down and making contact, because to see how much space this is 10 thousandth and it's not even making contact. So that's 20 thousandths. 20 thousandths is still loose. Let's go up to the biggest one I have is 24 thousandths, and that still fits. So that is definitely a problem. It's probably bigger. That's probably somewhere around like 30 thousandths of an inch. So that's not good. That means this valve is probably not sitting all the way down tight against. It's getting hung up. There could be debris in here. It could be the ring is, the valve has some carbon buildup on it. So I'm gonna pull this exhaust valve out. This one's slightly tight, but I'm not super concerned about that. It was like 2 to 2.5 thousandths. Maybe I can make that a little bit bigger, but this one we obviously have to take this one out. And we're going to take a look at why this isn't. Maybe we just need to lap the valves. Maybe the ring is shifted, the pressed in the seat. So let's pull this valve out. I'll show you how to do that real quick with a couple tools, and see if we can get this back down to normal spec. So I have a valve compression tool here. I'm going to pop this open. I'll show you where you can get this if you ever want to do a job like this. And we're just going to hook it right on the back side of the valve on the spring, because we got to remove the retainer. You don't want to grab the retainer. So we'll get in there, put it right on the valve. We'll start compressing that, and then we're just going to move that spring off the valve, the retainer off the valve, and then we'll release it. Okay. Now the valve will slide out. So look at the valve here. It's not really shiny around the edge, which means carbon exhaust is definitely getting through that. So that's definitely not sealing like it's supposed to. All right, so you can see how it's shiny down here at the bottom, but up top and to the side, it's not as shiny. So it definitely was not seating properly. It looks like the seat is in properly. Sometimes you'll see this valve seat actually pops out and sitting up on the side, and that'll be another reason you have zero compression. Now this one looks like it's fine, but it doesn't look like it's seating all the way. So we'll lap this, see if we can get this down to right spec. We've got a new head gasket, put it back together, torque the bolts down to spec, and see if we can get compression, see if we can get this thing to start. So I see another problem here, actually. I'm probably going to have to replace this valve. When I spin this, you can actually see that the valve goes up and down, which means this valve is bent. So this isn't going to work anyway. But so I'm going to go into my junk pile of engines, see if I can find a good exhaust valve. I'll pull out. What happens is, because this is bent, depending on the angle, one angle is going to make contact sooner than the other, which means one side will be open, one side will be closed of the valves here. So without a straight valve, I'm not going to get a good seal here. So I'm just going to pull a valve out of this motor here with the scored cylinder, which is shot off of another old Toro. So I'm going to pull this exhaust valve out, make sure it's straight. If it is, we'll put it onto the engine, lap that one with the engine over there, and see if we can get this thing to make compression. So I just slid this new valve in, and it looks pretty straight to me when I spin it. Nothing's moving up and down in here. And actually the clearance looks a lot better. So I'm going to check this for clearance real quick before I go ahead and lap it. So I'll try the 5/32. I'm going to apply some pressure from the front to mimic the spring. And it's I can feel a little bit of drag. Let's try 8/32. Applying pressure. And that's pretty good drag. So once I lap this will actually bring it down to probably 4 or 5. So let me lap it real quick. I'll just show that and fast forward. And then we'll put the spring back on. I'll take the other one off, lap that one really fast, probably show that and fast forward. You don't need to see that. And then we'll put it back together, check the compression, get a new head gasket, check the compression. Again, let's try this again. We're going to lap this with Some valve grinding compound. Put that guy in. Okay, we got our valve grinding tool right in the center. That sounds a lot better than it was. The other one was actually hard to move. I could barely move it because it was bent. All right, let's clean this up real good and then check again. You want to make sure these parts are extra clean when they go back in. You don't want any bit of that valve grinding compound on them. I'm going to kind of wire wheel this lightly and polish it. All right, I think that's just about ready to go back in, and let's check the clearance. Again, we'll go back to that trusty 0.004 of an inch. Apply some pressure. A little bit of drag, that's good. 5 would be great. And a little bit more drag, but not perfect. If it's 6, I'll accept it, and I'll move on to the intake valve. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Probably a soft 6, hard 7 thousandths of an inch. I'll take that. I'm going to put the spring on and the retainer, and then we'll move over to the intake valve. I'll really do that really fast just to lap it real quick. And then I want to rinse this all out, and we'll put it back together. All right, I'll show you how to do this real quick. I probably won't even show you the intake valve. I'm just going to skip ahead. But it's the same exact process. I'm going to rest the retainer in there. I'm going to grab my spring. Retainer's in. We're going to get the spring just enough by. There we go. Everything is lined up. Now this valve can come in. Got to move that retainer down so that the valve can go past it. Now we're going to come in with a compressor, get the spring. Compress the spring with a spring compressor here. Grab a hold of the retainer, lift it into place, and we can actually just let that go. There we go. Now, if I want to get a very accurate measurement, now I would check my valve clearance. That's right around like 7 to 8 right there. A little bit of drag. I'll take that. All right, going to do the other one quick, and I'll be right back after that, and we'll finish up putting this back together. Just got that intake valve back in, and I'm going to clean up this head gasket, find a new head gasket, and we'll put that back on, torque everything down. I'm also going to clean up the head cover here as well. Try to make sure that that's flat as possible. There's old tricks, you know, putting a piece of glass down, like light sandpaper, and doing like figure-8 swirls. I might do that, but we'll see how flat it looks when I get this cover off and cleaned up. All right, that cleaned up pretty well, doing the figure-8 trick. I didn't want to take off way too much. I didn't want to keep going, just to get knock any high points down. The outside surface, obviously the main concern. Okay, so I don't have a head gasket in stock, so I ordered one. So I'm gonna have to wait till that comes in. I just kind of cleaned that off a little bit, and put the valve cover back on, put a little bit of oil in there just to make sure that the valves are nice and oily. So now we're just going to wait, and once the head gasket comes in, we'll just put this back together and show you how to see if it gets compression, if it starts. Okay guys, a couple days gone by, just got the head gasket in, and there's the old valve. So cleaned up the surface just a little bit, you know, razor blade, try not to scratch anything. You don't want to warp anything. Same thing up here. You know, it's not a race car or anything. It's just it's got to hold compression. So let's go ahead and we'll reverse this process. We're going to put the head gasket on first, torque everything down, and then we'll do a compression check and see if it starts for us. So the kit I bought actually comes with 2 separate ones, very similar engines. But we're going to be using the one here with this little cutout on it to match up with the one that we took off. All right, so let's get this on. I'm going to make sure that matches up, and it does. Okay. All right, let's get these couple on the top here started. Hold everything in place. 3 across the bottom. Some of these have washers on them, some don't. Now we'll get these in for the most, just snug, and then we're going to go around and torque these down to 25 foot-pounds. Okay, Got my torque wrench set to 25 foot-pounds. I want to go around and kind of crisscross pattern. So that's torqued down. Now I can put the pull cord assembly back on, the flywheel cover, and we can actually check for compression right away. So we have the 2 longer 3/8 bolts in the front, and then the 2 shorter ones in the back. Kind of just rest this there for now, and let's give it a hope for the best that we have compression now. Well, it feels a lot better. All right, cool. With the compression release, 75, I think it's going to be great. Let's put the spark plug in. The guy put a new carburetor on because he thought that was the problem. So I'm assuming that's going to be working. I did ask if he had the old one, and he did say he does, and he's going to drop it off at some point because I really don't like these that much. But I'm assuming it was running when he put it, when it stopped working, when this valve finally bent. So I'm gonna put spark plug in, see if we can get it to start. But before we do that, we do need to put the exhaust pipe on. Make sure it's hooked around the auto choke. Remember to tap these little tabs down so that this doesn't loosen up. So I just want to check the gap. It was a little tight. I stretched it out to a 30 thousandths. And let's put this on. All right, got the spark plug on. Let's get this top cover on real quick. And then the shroud on top. Okay, let's give it a shot, see if we can get this thing to start. All right, sweet. What I want to do is I'm going to let this warm up just a little bit and get that oil out of there in case any crap got into the oil. We're going to clean that out. And I got to replace this cable here. That's broken. Sharpen the blade, all that other stuff, and then see if we can get this listed for sale. So if this is the type of video you guys like to see, let me know in the comments. I'll keep making them if I can. Check out some of my other videos here. You can check out my channel there. And I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.